And welcome back, everybody. So today we are going to do a tutorial on how to make a Marvel vs. Capcom style KO text thing. I'm not sure what you'd call it, honestly. um, so the hardest part, believe it or not, is just getting the writing um, in the actual game. There's probably 4 to 5 frames for all that text to appear, regardless of how many letters it is. I'm going to make all letters appear one by one just because I think it looks nicer, and I kind of wrote it backwards here, but as you can see, um, this is for Kung Fu Man. Start each letter and it goes Kung Fu Palm and then triple. I did it in the wrong order, and I'm using my favorite image application, iDraw 3. I'm not sure where you can really find this thing, but hey, that's pretty much yeah, what I use. So the hardest part is to get your letters. There's so many ways to get these letters. It's hard to find Marvel vs. Capcom fonts to make these letters, but I used whatever I had. This is actually the Mortal Kombat 3 font that I'm using here. So you rip them all out one by one, and you put them into your character. Once you're into your character, you have to add them and align them as you see fit. This is my Marvel vs. Capcom template for Kung Fu Man, which is kind of fitting. So somewhere in here, I added it. I believe I added it. Let's see. Hope I didn't unadd it, and I'll have to recode the whole thing again. Huh. Yeah, it appears that way. Is the animation here? Okay, the animation's here, but the words are not. I don't even have the letters. Let me see. Maybe my other Kung Fu Man has it. Silly errors. Oh, here we go. At least this one has it. Okay, 8-6, and then... Okay, so let me just copy this from this other Kung Fu Man. For whatever reason, this Kung Fu Man decided to delete them. I don't know what that is really. But anyway, so I'm using animation or group 8600. You can use whatever you feel like. I am aligning everything to the center, so this way I have more control of where it falls on the screen. So since it's all letter by letter, I'm having the full word, and then I'm using an onion skin to actually, yeah, I'm using an onion skin to place all the letters. This way it'll be easier to align them. So as the letters go, it's filled up, and then I go to the next one, and I'll find the last letter, onion skin that. Had the chance. Onion skin that, and then fill it in as I go. So now this is pretty much all the letters here. It looks weird, but it looks better in game. Now the animation, I broke it into 2 words because it's 2 words, it's 2 lines. So the first is going to be triple, which displays at 1 tick, and it fills up. You can use whatever timing you think you like. It's up to you, but this is what I used. 1 tick, and each letter is 1 tick, and the last frame is -1. This way I have control over how long it stays on screen. And altogether this is 6 frames, each at a 1 tick, and the last one's negative, so that's 6 ticks. And the second frame, which is the second word, which is Kung Fu Palm, I'm actually having both of them display at the same time. This way the coding is easier. Instead of having to figure out timing, I'll just do it in the animation. So since the first one is 6 frames, the first frame is blank, -1 index, and the time is 6. So this is going to play fast, and then right after that, this one's going to play. And it's going to be like that. And the last frame is again -1. So see how fast that is? But that's only after this plays, and then this plays. You can do this at whatever speed you think you like. It's up to you. It's your character. And now we are going to go into our states. And right here, we need a helper. So in -3, I'm making a helper. The trigger is win KO, which means that the round is over, somebody is won, and it's KO. So that means someone's lost. And num helper and the ID 9500 is equal to 0. So if this helper is also 9500 does not exist, it's going to make itself. If it does exist, if this is a 1 for whatever reason it should be, but it shouldn't be, this won't work. So it has to be 0. So now this is going to be super background. ID is the same ID as your trigger. It'll check itself to see if it exists. If it doesn't, it'll make itself exist. Your state, position, position type, which is left. I usually use left because I don't know why. Player 1 is on the left, and it helps with alignment. So a left means you're aligned to the top left of your screen. Right means you're aligned to the top right of your screen. It's just an old habit, I guess. Facing 1. On palette means if the player for whatever reason gets caught in fire after the fact, it won't change the palette on this. Super move time, pause move time 99, just so it doesn't get affected by any kind of extra pause times, and ignore hit pause. Even though this is -3, this code has no effect here. I'm just leaving it here because I copied this from somewhere else and I left. Oh god. Okay. So now the helper is a -3 and it says go to state 9500. I don't have a 9500 here, but I have one in the system file, which is part of the Marvel's Capcom template that I made. So 9500 is a special move white flash. This is a finishing thing. So essentially 9500 consists of a move type I for idle, which means it's not an attack, so nobody will trigger or start guarding for no reason. Animation is 9500, which if you look here, 9500 is a blank, -1 group, -1 time, so it's a blank animation altogether. I have control of how long it stays. This is a pause trigger, just have a slowdown effect when this helper is effective. I don't think this actually works in a helper's case. I think it's only works in the player's case. This will slow the helper down, I believe, but it doesn't really affect it. I will remove this at some point. The Xplod, which is 80, 45, which is the flashing. Let's see, 80, 45. Yep, and that is the white flash, and then the waves. God love those speed waves. Okay, so the white flash, and then the most important part. These are Xplods based on who has died. So now animation 8230. Let's see, 8230. So this is a super KO background. When you kill somebody with a super, it'll play this animation. It's actually a really ugly animation when you look at it in slow motion. It just looks weird and it's ugly. I kind of like the Street Fighter 2 one better, but this will do for this template. So it's going to play that animation. And the most important thing here is all the triggers. So the trigger is win KO, meaning the round's over, and the enemy, life equals 0, which means the enemy's lost and you've won. And num Xplot 8230 is equal to 0, which means this one. So if this does not exist, it's going to make it exist if you win and the enemy has no life. The other trigger is not time, which means it happens right away, and if the parent, who is the helper's parent, which is the character, is in state 3000. Now this number would be based on whatever your super state is. In my case, this version of Kung Fu Man I made, he only has one super, and that's the triple Kung Fu palm, and that's state 3000. So once all these were fulfilled, it's going to play this super background animation, and it's going to be attached to the top left. It's going to bind. It's going to remove time when the animation's over, finished playing. Scale is 1:1 because the animation is 3:22:40, and all the other things as you know. Also, sprite priority is -3, so it's in the background. Now, this is the other part. So this is the most important part here. These are the words. So all of this is kind of the same thing, except with different position and different animation. That's pretty much it. Once you get your sprites for the words, you put them in, and you make your animations, then you just code a helper, and in the helper you have an Xplot that displays it. Ideally, you could just use an Xplot and just have the Xplot display, but with a helper you have more control over things like several Xplots. So instead of having multiple Xplots everywhere, you just call a helper, and the helper will display all the Xplots for you. And then here's the sound, of course, which is the hyper combo finish sound. So I'm going to play that now. Oh, seems like one of those weird random errors that Mugen plagues us with. I'm going to resume this in a quick second. Unbelievable. What are the odds of that happening? So now I'm going to test it out. Alrighty. And I'm going to put it to bring it death. First, a regular KO. Okay. And now a super KO. And there you go. He slides it regularly. Anyways, so the trick here is you can set your remove time, which is nice. So instead of setting the animation, which could be wrong, having them both start at the same time with one being delayed, and then having them remove at the same time, it makes it look so much nicer and easier. You can also play around with other effects you might want. It's up to you. But that is pretty much it. It's nothing crazy, really. It's you get the sprites, as I said before. You get the sprites, you align them, you make your animation, you code your helper, just like so, and then you have a bunch of exploits in the helper. There you go. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.